You wake up, you get in your car, you drive 20 minutes to buy a coffee, you drive back, you drive again to the gym, to the office, to pick up your kids, to get groceries, to go home. You do this every single day, and it feels completely normal. It feels like the way things are supposed to be. But stop for a second and actually look at what you just described. Every single basic function of your day required a machine that costs $30,000, burns fossil fuel, needs insurance, needs maintenance, and kills 40,000 people a year in the United States alone. You need that machine just to exist, not to travel, not to explore, just to live your daily life. Nobody ever asked you if that was okay. You were born into a system, handed a driver's license at 16, and told this was freedom. But here's what nobody told you when your parents moved to the suburbs, when the developer sold that house with the green lawn and the two-car garage and the quiet street. You did not buy a home. You bought into a system designed to extract money from you for the rest of your life, while slowly bankrupting the government responsible for maintaining it. This is the Ponzi scheme of suburbs. To understand how we got here, you have to go back to 1945. World War II just ended. Millions of soldiers were coming home. The government needed to absorb them into the economy fast, before the factories that built tanks and bombers went silent and took the jobs with them. The solution seemed brilliant. Mass produce housing. Push it outside the overcrowded cities. Connect everything with highways. Sell the car as the symbol of freedom and prosperity. Let developers build the neighborhoods, let the federal government fund the roads, and let an entire generation of veterans believe they had earned the dream. It worked. Suburbs exploded, the middle class expanded, families had space, yards, schools, and safety. For about 30 years, the math held together. But there was a condition nobody put in writing. The math only worked because the infrastructure was brand new, and brand new things do not stay new forever. Here is the number that changes everything. 1 mile of a typical suburban road costs between $1 and $3 million to build. That same road needs to be completely reconstructed every 20 to 30 years. The pipes underneath need replacing. The bridges need reinforcing. The entire physical skeleton of a suburb has a lifespan, and when that lifespan expires, somebody has to pay for it. That somebody is supposed to be the tax base. But a typical suburban neighborhood generates somewhere between 4 cents and 65 cents of tax revenue for every dollar of infrastructure it requires over its lifetime. Not a rounding error. A structural foundational gap between what suburbs cost and what they actually produce. And that gap was not an accident. Suburbs were designed to grow, not to sustain themselves. Every new subdivision generates a burst of permit fees and initial property taxes that looks like profit. That money gets spent immediately on schools, salaries, and services. But that same development just created miles of new roads and pipes that will all need replacing in 25 years, and the tax revenue from those houses will never be enough to cover it. So what does the city do? It approves another development, collects another burst of fees, uses new money to cover the obligations created by the old money. That is not urban planning. That is a Ponzi scheme with a zoning permit. And just like every Ponzi scheme in history, it works perfectly until the growth stops. In hundreds of American towns right now, the growth has stopped. The roads built in the 1970s are coming due. The budgets do not have the money. And most municipalities are choosing to approve one more development on the outskirts of town, kick the problem down the road, and let the next administration deal with the bill, but strip away the finance for a moment. Because this is also doing something to your body and your mind that nobody included in the brochure. Human beings evolved to walk. For 200,000 years, every dimension of our social and emotional life happened on foot, at human scale, close to other people. The village, the market, the street, these were not design choices. They were the physical expression of what our nervous system actually needs. The suburb dismantled every one of those conditions. Your neighborhood has no corner store within walking distance, no plaza where people gather, no street designed for human beings moving at the pace of conversation, There is nowhere to accidentally run into someone, nowhere to simply exist without a destination and a vehicle to reach it. The garage door opens. You get in the car. The garage door closes. You may not make eye contact with a single human being the entire day who was not already in your calendar. Research consistently shows that people in walkable environments report significantly lower rates of anxiety, depression, and loneliness than people in car-dependent suburbs, not because city life is easier, but because chronic disconnection from other human beings is one of the strongest predictors of health decline in the medical literature. Loneliness at the level now common in suburban America is associated with outcomes comparable to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. The lawn is green, the street is quiet, and something is slowly going wrong inside the people who live there. There is a movement called strong towns. The idea is simple. Build places where the tax revenue from the land actually covers the cost of the infrastructure that serves it. Build dense enough that walking to daily needs is realistic. Mix residential, commercial, and social uses on the same street so the sidewalk has a reason to exist. This is not radical. It is just how humans built cities for 5,000 years before the automobile industry convinced governments to reorganize civilization around a product they were selling. Some cities are already reversing course, removing highways that severed neighborhoods, investing in transit that makes car ownership a choice instead of a survival requirement, reforming zoning laws that made it illegal to build anything other than single-family houses across vast stretches of land. The resistance is real. Suburbs are not just a housing type. They are an identity, a generation's definition of success and safety. Telling someone their neighborhood is a bad investment is personal in a way that goes far beyond policy. But the bills are arriving. The roads are crumbling, the budgets are breaking, and at some point, every place built to grow and never designed to last faces the same question that every Ponzi scheme eventually cannot avoid. Who pays when the new money stops coming in? Look at your street. Count the cracks in the pavement. Look at your tax bill and try to find where the money for the next reconstruction is supposed to come from. You built your life around a machine. The machine was always running on borrowed time. If this changed the way you see your own street, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe, because next week we are pulling apart another system that looks completely normal on the surface and is quietly collapsing from the inside out.